today. We hope that everyone is well and that you and your families are staying safe during this really crazy time in our world. My name is Kelly Miller, and I am the Customer Relationship Manager here at Canto. And today we are joined by our Head of Marketing, Corey Schmidt, and our Head of Sales for the EMEA region, Mike Braxton. Hi guys, thanks for being a part of this today.
Hello.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi. So we at Canto are fueled by the efficiency and the productivity of our users. And our main goal is to help teams free up time and resources that would have been spent digging through and organizing brand assets to be used for more meaningful work. And we aim to provide an easy to use solution that empowers anyone to centralize, organize, and share their digital assets, no matter how small or large their library might be. So sharing and just overall collaboration has obviously become much more difficult, but it's still integral to our work, and we all need to ensure that our teams can easily access all of the content and brand assets that we've worked so hard to create. So we're all trying to jump over this hurdle of working together from different places, especially when it comes to sharing content. So Corey is going to share some of the things that we've seen our customers do or things that we've done to make sure that valuable content is shared efficiently. So after Corey shares, Mike will show how Canto can help teams with remote content sharing. And then after that, we'll have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions at all during the webinar, please type it in the questions tab and we will be sure to get that answered. So with that, I will turn it over to Corey, our Head of Marketing.
All right, thank you, Kelly. In marketing, when we talk about content sharing, we think about two different things, right? Internal sharing, or sharing among your team or with your colleagues, and external sharing, which is usually done on social media or through other channels. And these are usually treated separately, but they're actually very closely related. And right now, it's the internal sharing that we're trying to optimize because we're producing more content, but also because of the increase in remote work. So today, I'm going to give you a couple tips on how to boost your internal sharing. And I'm going to show you how this relates to external sharing. And Mike will also help show how this relates to external sharing. We conducted a survey with Sapio Research of 200 marketing professionals in the United Kingdom to see how they were handling their content. And of the companies surveyed, 1 out of 5 already spends close to $100,000 on producing digital content. That's over 32% of their entire marketing budgets. Now, despite investments of this size, companies rarely use all that content. 1 out of 5 companies said that their expensively produced content is only used once or twice. The return on investment for creative content has become a decisive factor for marketing. So it's very important that marketers can use that content. And what's often overlooked is how teams are sharing content internally and the relation to maximizing the use of that content. So I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you increase internal content sharing. First one is make your content findable by centralizing your digital asset storage and having a system in place that's easy to search. Mike will discuss our system soon here and show you its capabilities, but this point is very crucial. Searching for digital files not only impacts employees, but also work results. This impacts the performance of marketing teams as well. 41% of marketers in the Sapio survey said digital disorganization has caused them to delay releasing new materials. This lost time can't be offset by employees alone, and it negatively affects team performance. According to the Sapio study, marketing employees spend 24 minutes a day hunting for digital assets and filing content. That doesn't sound like much, but as you can see at the bottom, it really adds up. this would be 90 hours of work time per employee per year, and that's about 13 days of work days per year. The next is Slack. Next is make sharing simple and easy. Now Slack has been really excellent for our team. It's really helped us out. But links from our Canto were a game changer here. What I found was social media was great for internal sharing as well, as it encouraged more spontaneous content visibility. One thing we found with our team when we really dug deeper into our internal sharing is that some colleagues didn't want to share content on Slack channels or an email for fear of overloading their teammates. So our solution to this was to come together and agree to share freely, just open it up, and may have a discussion if anyone is overloaded. So far, nobody has come forward yet saying that they received too much content. Having key resources in multiple places is perfect for ensuring that they're shared more. Now, Mike's going to show us more on how to do this in a minute here, but what I found by getting more visibility for our key resources is that we have more serendipitous sharing. In fact, the Sapio research that I discussed at the beginning of the presentation is a key resource of ours, and we keep that visible in multiple places, including in our Canto and also Trello. Last tip, most of you have a content recycling system in place or you reuse content from time to time, but internal sharing is a key component of this. If you leverage templates and share them within and outside the team freely, you can streamline your process and maximize the return on investment for that high value content. What we found is if you do the things that we just talked about and increase internal sharing, you also increase external sharing. You get more visibility out of your content, and you get more out of your content and reach more customers and prospects.
Great, thanks so much, Corey. Those are super beneficial tactics for teams. So Canto has powerful sharing features that allow teams to really simply collaborate. And so now Mike will take us through some of those features.
Hi, guys. Right, you should now be able to see my screen. Hopefully, Kelly, is that right?
Yep.
Super. So absolutely. So in Canto, yeah, we've got various options around sharing, both for internal purposes, for external purposes. And this is me just launching into my Canto environment. Okay, so again, this would be custom branded, your logo, your background, completely your look and feel for your organization. And in terms of finding those assets you're looking to share first off, you have the ability to either search and filter that I can quickly show you, but you can also just go in and have a nice, neat folder structure over here on the left-hand side. So this could be any number of folders, subfolders, albums, absolutely anything you want to include. And then the nice thing is it's can be any view type as well. So we've got a variety of views in here, and a recent feature we added to try and assist is a curated view. So you've now got the ability to go in and not just have thumbnails here. You can go in and have titles, subtitles, and you can break this up further. It might be that you want to inform colleagues about latest images or, you know, a campaign you've been doing. So you could go in here and add anything that you want to include about, you know, a latest photo shoot, new products being released, absolutely anything. So the first thing you can do is you can go in and break this up and notify people already within an album about what's happening. So that's the first thing you can do. Otherwise, you've also got the option of just using the search and the filter. So you could go through in Canto, and like one of the really powerful features is the ability to go in and, you know, search and find what you're looking for straight away. So you'd go in, you'd have your previous search terms available. Otherwise, you can just do what we would call a global search. So based on any metadata, any custom fields, it could be a description, a tag, a file name. You've got and/or functionality. So it could be, let's say, apartment and a building, or it could be an apartment or a building. And additionally, we can also now save queries based on this with a combination of the search functionality, but also the filter. And this is where we bring in custom metadata and any sort of custom fields that you guys are using. to help you narrow down and filter for the content that you want. So this could even be, let's say, a project code, a country, a SKU number, absolutely anything, status around the assets. So let's say we only want to go through and look for content that's currently approved or pending or restricted. And if it was images, for example, we could even narrow down further and say, let's say a certain dimensions, maybe only a resolution of 72 and above, for example, maybe only a landscape asset. You can choose. This is completely up to you and can be configured to your preference. And even the likes of facial recognition will assist you in trying to find these assets so that you can go in and share them elsewhere as well. Okay. Additionally, you could just go in and let's say we found what we're looking for. So we found the assets that we want to share. I mean, internally, the first things you could do in terms of notifying a colleague about, let's say, something you want to be changed or something to be altered, you could just go in and even annotate on the asset. Let's say, pick a point here. I could go in and say, at marketing, please adjust the brightness, upload a new version, whatever it is, click save. And now every person in that group is going to be notified about your comment. And that can be both inside the system, but it can also generate an email that is populated, or it could even be connected with a tool like Slack. So you could receive that notification in a collaboration tool that could warn you about, comments, or even if you were following an asset, maybe there's a new version available. So you can be notified and collaborate, both within Canto, but also through tools like Slack, which will assist you from there. Additionally, let's say we wanted to share some content. So whether it's one asset, 50 assets, it doesn't matter. We could go in and we can use what we call share links, or you can also share through social media. So we've got a variety of social media options here, which include, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on. Equally, let's say you don't want people to do this, you can also switch these off depending on the type of user. So not everyone has to have the functionality that they can share through Facebook, for example. But a really positive way to share some content quickly, we get great feedback about this, is the share links. So it's the ability to generate a link that can have an expiry date or even no expiry. So we can leave it open. You can password protect the link if you want to as well. You can choose in terms of metadata, what people are going to see, any other sort of details and custom fields around the assets. You can add watermarks to the assets. You could choose which ones. Additionally, like terms and conditions and copyright would go through anyway. You can also be notified when this link is accessed. So as soon as the other person or group access this content, it's going to ping you a notification to advise you that this has been accessed. And you can also decide all of the privileges for this content you're sharing. What can they do? So as an example, so let's say I've sent this out to anyone, anywhere in the world. They do not have to be a user of Canto to receive this. So it's a bit like WeTransfer. Off it goes. It's going to be custom branded. So it's your logo, your background color. And then depending on the permissions you're giving them, they might be able to go in and preview. You could allow them to download. So this is where you could choose, let's say if they could download the original, you could just let them crop. So maybe you just want them to go in on the fly and they can just go in and crop a section here. And they can adjust the dimensions. You've got some freeform templates they can use as well. And also like the format, the color, the resolution. This would all be able to be adjusted as well. Resizing, you could just do a general resize for the asset. And even compressing, like let's say it's just a huge file, you just want to get the size down a little bit. They could actually reduce this down to, let's say, 70, 80% of the original, and then still use the crop. And if they're happy, just click on download. You can also do all of those things I just showed you together in a sequence, either with resizing first or cropping first, or perhaps you don't want people to do these things. Maybe it's, you're worried, you just want them to either download the original, or maybe you just want to give them access to a preset. So you could have presets in the system, and this is something that you would be able to add in any number of presets as well, and you would choose the criteria for the presets around cropping and resizing. It's not something we would have to do for you. And then, for example, the correct sizing for LinkedIn or for any sort of social, web, any purpose really, you can choose those credentials. Additionally, for videos, so let's say you were going to share a video, you get a couple of extra options. So let's say here, I wanted to share this video, for example. I could also share, you had the other options we saw before, but you've also got the likes of Vimeo and YouTube. So you could just go in directly and share into those platforms as well from here. And you can also switch that off as well if you don't want to. And further options you'd have here on the videos include, like, it can be the original, it could be the low res, and a really nice feature is the ability to trim the video. So let's say actually we only really want 20 seconds from an hour of footage, and you could just download this clip. And any changes or adjustments you're making here through a shared link, or once you've gone through and then downloading, it's not going to have any effect on the main library. This is only for your content or the person using the link. It's only going to be relevant to them and nothing in the main library. Okay. Another way to share content is through portals. So this is a really popular feature in Canto. It's the ability to share a subsection of your library in a self-service manner with anyone. This could be for internal use, it could be for external use. We see customers that do this, let's say a sales team or a comms team or whoever might have access through specific portals, or it might be that you want the press or an agency or customers, for example, to go in and access a portal. They can be private, they can be public, so you would choose if a login is required, and you can have any branding on here. So each portal can be customized in terms of the logo, the background color, text. They're going to have a search bar. And then in terms of the makeup here, each image you see is a folder from your main library of Canto. So you would choose, for example, people can go in and access certain folders, and you would choose their privileges. So are they allowed to preview? Are they allowed to download? How can they download? Can they have access presets? You could even set this up so that they have to ask permission before they can download. And it could be you want their email address or a reason why they want the asset. And then you could decide with your workflow who would then approve that if it was relevant. And you'll see in the portal, they've got a lot of the main features that you saw from the main library. So in terms of the search, there could be a nice, neat folder structure here. You've got the ability to view in different ways, such as a thumbnail view. There's a list view. Also, that curated view is in here as well. And even down to a geo view, which would show a map of where the assets have come in from as well. That is also possible. Additionally, if they really wanted to then really narrow down with a search and a filter, this is also possible. So any of those fields and like facial recognition and so on, anything that I just showed at the beginning when we were looking at the filter in the main library, this can also be applicable to the portal. And you can choose, how complex or how simple you want the metadata, the filter, and the layout to be. So the whole concept really is self-service in a controlled manner, where the majority of customers, we hear back all the time that it makes life so much easier, especially when they're just, for example, distributors around the world, is ease of use is the key factor here, really. And similar to the portals, we also have the similar kind of tool here for brand guidelines. So we've got style guides. So this is the ability to share basically your branding, and you can have multiple style guides. So again, custom branded, your logo, any background color, any headings of your choice, and it will populate here all of the codings, like let's say primary colors, secondary colors, typography. It could be imagery, key messaging. You can choose. And then, for example, here you might give access for particular colleagues, or maybe you want to share it with an agency. They would then be able to go in through the style guide and have access into specific content in here, and you could choose any of the options they'd have around, the filter, download. You can set this up to your preference. So it could even be then going in and searching by region, or by department, or anything that's going to be relevant in there for you. So that's probably the main ways I would say to share. So back to you, Kelly.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike. That was really great, a great walkthrough. So we have time to answer just a few questions. Let's see here. Okay, the first question, how do you receive content?
I mean, in terms of receiving content, there's a few ways. So, I mean, obviously, it would depend if it on the type. If it was a user, obviously, very, very easy for uploading and so on. But if you wanted to receive content from someone external, I take it that's what you're asking, then you'd have the ability to do that through what we've got upload links. So you can generate links in the system. So it's a bit like WeTransfer, really, and you can just receive content from anyone. So you could choose an expiry for that link. You could also have multiple people accessing that link. and there could be any amount of content coming in, and you could even give them hints in terms of metadata that you would like to be included or that have to be included, or a template of metadata that they should include with the assets. And you can also custom brand the link. So let's say it's slightly different branding. You can custom brand it with the logo, the color, and so on as well. And even on the approval side, you can decide who's going to be notified internally when that content's received. Is it, your admins, or is it a team of approvers, or, a creative team, marketing team? You would decide. And then once that content is received, they would get an alert. And then from there, they can just click on that and it brings them straight into all of the content for review. But yeah, you can receive content from anyone.
Okay, great. Thank you. So another question, let's see, what other tools can I connect Canto with?
Sure. I mean, we have a RESTful API, so we can connect Canto with virtually any other application, really. And we do have a lot of out-the-box integrations as well. So even, for example, like the social media side you saw, so we've got the likes of, all the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, like YouTube and Vimeo and so on. So they're all standard features available in the tool, and mainly that's for sharing. Additionally, for tools like, let's say, Dropbox or Google Drive, OneDrive, Ignite, you can actually log into those tools and from inside Canto and even access your folder structure, and then select any folders you want to bring into Canto, and it will automatically bring them in, and it could even retain the folder structure for you, and with a duplicate check as well. So that's an easy way actually to get content in if you're using one of those kind of shared tools. Additionally, like CMS tools, so the likes of Drupal. So we've got Drupal, WordPress, like Typo3, Sitecore, Episerver, and many more. So lots of CMS tools, and we're only building on these over time as well, where you could then access your Canto library inside those CMS tools. And a lot of the time, it would actually bring over your, digital rights, copyright, tagging, and on a lot of them, you can actually schedule updates as well. So you can even be notified about new versions, based on a time period of your preference. And also the likes of Adobe, probably the most popular one in there at the moment, I would say, is the Adobe connector. So it's the ability to access Canto from inside Adobe, and you could then either access your folder structure or just search and filter to find assets. And for example, in Photoshop, you could do any retouching and then just save that back into Canto as a new version. So you don't need to download, upload, it will do it all for you. Or for InDesign, you've actually got live links going between Canto and InDesign, and it will always warn you if there's a new version available, or if the asset's expired, or if it's current. And additionally, Microsoft Office as well. There's also the ability to access Canto inside like PowerPoint, Word, but that's a few. Does that answer the question?
I think it does, yes. So you said Photoshop is something that you can connect Canto with, correct?
Yeah, Photoshop, InDesign, and also Illustrator and Premiere Pro are the main Adobe tools we can link with.
Okay, great. That was another question as well. So, okay, perfect. Well, we are getting towards the end of this here. So it looks like that's all the time we have. If we didn't get to your question, we will follow up with you via email. So we'll be sure to get those answered. You will also get the recording of this webinar. So if you think that any of your colleagues would benefit from watching, then please feel free to forward it to them, send it their way. So thanks again, Corey and Mike, and thanks to everyone watching. We hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any additional questions, please contact Mike. His email address is mpaxton@canto.com. So thanks again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.